Everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wellness Blueprints. I'm Jess Milner. I'm so glad you're here to nourish your roots with me, and I'm so grateful. This is episode 52, which means that I've been at this for an entire year, one full year of an episode every week. And that's an accomplishment that, a couple years ago, I would have been like, yeah, right. Why would I even do that? And honestly, I have such a blast recording these, and it's so much fun. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. So for today's episode, I thought because this weekend is Mother's Day, and I got to give some amazing shout outs to all the moms out there. So I just wanted to really talk about this because we are all so different in our mothering, but that doesn't mean that one is better than the other. And, really, I talk a lot about how we are the queen, the boss of our own cells. You're in charge of all of your own cells. So, you can tell them what to do, encourage them, and nourish all of your cells. And that is really true in your home as well. Moms, we are, these intuitive leaders, these intuitive health leaders, and we are there, facilitating and nourishing all of these people in our house. And, so just like, moms, when something is off with one of your kids, even when like a doctor may not notice, or before a test is run, you're just like, okay, this is a little bit different. I'm noticing different changes. Sometimes those changes are just, kids getting older and doing different things. And sometimes it's actually a thing, but nobody knows. Just like I say, nobody knows your body better than you. Mama Bear usually knows her babies better than anybody else. So, when we look at something on paper, it might look all fine. And mom's like, listen, I'm telling you, there's something off here. And mom's intuition is usually pretty spot on. And that's because just like you hear your own body's whispers, or sometimes maybe we've muted our own body's whispers so we can hear our children's whispers a little bit better. But either way, we're noticing those things about our kids because, especially when our kids are little, like we're like, okay, well, my purpose right now is to make sure this kid is doing good, right? Like I've been gifted this child, and, I'm going to make sure that all is well with this child. And we take our jobs very seriously. So, you are this intuitive leader of your home. And that's just so amazing. You're a leader of your family and nourishing, and we all do it in a different way. And that's okay because, we all have different rhythms. My rhythm is going to be different than your rhythm and then somebody else's rhythm, and so don't worry so much about the external standards that you see. I think it's absolutely fantastic when I hear, these moms that are making their own sourdough, and they're growing all their food in their gardens and doing all these things from scratch and everything. And that is absolutely fantastic. They're doing all these things. They want to do these things for their family. And sometimes it's just like not possible for another mom. She's like, well, I don't know if I really want to have a sourdough starter because, and then it's like having another kid and you have to like watch it all the time. And it's like this constant thing that you have to do. The same thing with like, making your own kombucha and stuff like that. I've made my own kombucha, and like it does get to be, after a while, I was like, oops, made vinegar again, because I forget about it or something. And I have a sourdough starter, but I haven't actually given it that little bit of life that it needs to get it going because I'm like, oh, it's such a big commitment. So, maybe you're buying your sourdough at the store, or, maybe, this family doesn't eat bread at all, but you still want to eat bread and you're just wondering if that's right. So listen, it's right for one family, but not necessarily right for another family. And that's okay. And moms, we know this, and we go, okay, well, this child doesn't do well with this food. So this child's not going to eat that food. And this child doesn't do well with this. Whatever the case is, you're doing the thing that's best for your family, and your rhythm is your rhythm. I mean, why would you want to walk to the beat of somebody else's drum? It doesn't make sense. And finding this rhythm is going to mirror finding your own body's natural balance, because that's what we do want to do. We want to find our body's own natural balance, and you want to find your family's own natural balance. And, because that's what's really going to help to settle your nervous system. Because I talk about this a lot too, when we have, all these things overwhelming us, like, oh, I need to do better. I need to, I need to make this all from scratch. I have to grow all this myself, or I have to get all the chemicals out of my house. It really, the fear and the overwhelm of all of that is more harmful to your nervous system most of the time than not getting rid of some of those things or not complying with those kinds of things, not deciding that you are going to bake all of your own bread or something like that. So you want to be able to find that natural balance. And, that's, I mean, if your home had a nervous system, you do want it to be calm. You don't want your home to be a chaotic place. And if you are constantly in chaos, mom, then your house is going to be in chaos too. Your kids are going to be in chaos. And then that just, I mean, obviously when you have kids, there's going to be some days of chaos because that's just how it rolls, right? And that's okay. But I'm just talking about that total internal where like absolutely nothing ever goes right. And then we're only focusing on the negative things there. So there really is something to be said for that. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing because this is you and you have your intuition and your rhythm here with you. And that's all that you need to worry about because that's all that you're responsible for. You're not responsible for Susie or Lori or whoever's down the road doing something different than you. And honestly, there's probably somebody down the road who's looking at you and thinking, wow, I should really do things more like she does. So it's all a matter of perspective. These things are all subjective. I'm not going to sit here and say one specific way is the best way to do something when it comes to raising your family and feeding your family and things like that, because it's not going to be the same for everybody. There are always going to be factors that are going to make it different for everybody. And that's what really makes everything such a beautiful place. It'd be so freaking boring if we were all the same, Oh my gosh, can you imagine? So, all right, mamas, there are so many of you out there that I see that are breaking generational patterns, breaking these generational curses that were not serving, that didn't do very well. And some of the time, these are harmful patterns. And other times, it's just stuff that, like, we don't want to do that anymore because, the time has changed and, there are different circumstances in front of a person. And so it's like, okay, well, we're not going to do it that way anymore. And so I see so many breaking all of these bad patterns and everything. And this is really so powerful because just because it's a certain way that things were done in the past doesn't mean that it needs to continue to be that way, depending on what it is. If your family's rhythm is going to be different and that kind of maybe it's a way of eating, a way of disciplining, of just general parenting, all these different aspects of things. Maybe it's something like like because I know growing up, I didn't hear about like adult things that were going on in the world. Like we didn't talk about like money. We didn't talk about like paying bills. Nobody talked about taxes. Nobody talked about all of these different things. And for me personally, I was kind of like, well, I kind of wish that I knew a little bit more about these things because, I became an adult and I was like, oh, there's certain things they just don't teach you in school. And I was like, well, I kind of wish somebody had shared a little bit of this with me because, but at the same time, it's like, well, I was living my childhood and having a great time. So, in our house, we don't like sit there and tell our kids exactly what's going on with taxes and stuff, but they know that we are getting ready to pay them. And it's so we're like, we have a little bit more of an open discussion about things like that so that they can understand what they got to do later. And this is going to be different for everybody. Some people are going to be like, Jess, what are you talking about? I would never tell my kids that I pay taxes. Okay, fine. Well, so that's not what you want to do. We're all going to have different things there, but the thing is, something that might have been done a long time ago or when you were growing up or when your parents were growing up, maybe that's not something that you want to do now. Maybe it's eating habits, maybe it's different, products that you're using and stuff like that. Like, okay, well, we're going to not use all of these things that, we grew up with, but, because look at everybody's health. Everybody makes their own decisions with that. But I'm telling you, moms, this is so powerful when I see you guys doing stuff like this, especially the moms that are out there treating their kids so much differently because they were mistreated when they were growing up. Or they, or maybe parents didn't realize they were mistreating, but, there were these things that were going on that as an adult, moms, I'm seeing that you're having to deal with these things and work through all of these things. And you're making it a point to not have these things be something that your kids are going to have to work through later. And that is real. And, and validating your own feelings so that you can validate your children's feelings as well, because that's one of the things there, we have a tendency to say, well, I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't be upset about this. But if something is upsetting you, then you have a reason to be upset about it. So let's sit there. Let's be aware of it. Let's observe that. And let's go, okay, so, like, am I overreacting? Well, maybe, because there could be a pattern that's causing me to overreact, but nevertheless, your feeling is still valid in one way or another. And you can sit there and look at that. And then you can be able to validate your children's feelings as well, so that they don't feel like the way that they feel is somehow wrong, or that they shouldn't, or something like that. Because all of those feelings that come through, they're there for a reason. And whether it's an overreaction or not, which is totally subjective as well, it's still something to be looked at, and say, okay, well, let's acknowledge this, because whether you should have felt this way or not, nevertheless you did. So let's look at it. Let's unpack that a little bit. And, so being able to open up a communication and everything like that. So, like getting rid of some of these generational patterns and stuff. I mean, it's just so powerful. So if you're a mom that's doing something like that, I salute you, because how amazing that you're doing that for your kids, because just your intention of not doing some of the things that may have been done to you is powerful in itself. Just that intention. So I absolutely love that. Another thing, moms, we have this mom energy connection. Okay. So we have, this mothering, nurturing energy that will come from our sacral energy center. We have our root energy center. And when we balance these things properly, it helps our mothering. It helps our nurturing. And it also helps us to balance our children's energy centers, which are still being formed, especially very young kids, these centers are being built and formed. That's what happens. I mean, that's what happens to all of us. It's by design. It's what happens. We build these energy centers in the first, 7 years of life or so. And this helps us to be able to nurture our children while they are building that. So that is really a beautiful thing. So it really all comes full circle. When we are balanced, we can do better for them, and then they can help to be better balanced. And it's just absolutely wonderful. And all right, I've talked about this one a lot too, but with perfectionism being, the big fat killer of, well, really almost anything, because nothing is perfect. Absolutely nothing is going to be perfect that we are going to attempt to do or see or try or anything like that. So perfectionism, it always leads to disappointment and resentment, because you're going to be like, okay, this has to be perfect all the time. And let me listen, if you think that you can be a perfect mother, you probably don't have any kids. Because it's a fantasy. I can, all right, raise your hands, moms, even though nobody can see you while you're listening or watching this right now. Raise your hands if you said something before you had kids, like, well, I'm not going to do that. I am not going to bribe my kids. I'm not going to feed my kids this. My kids are going to behave and do this. And it's so laughable. I mean, I was a nanny for years, and I still would say things like that because I thought I knew, because I was with kids all the time nannying them. Oh, just now it's laughing at just then. But this is what happens. We all think that we know better until we get there and we're in it, because your outside perspective is always different. So, we go into it like, oh my gosh, I have to do all these things. I have to, like, not bribe my kids. I have to not do this, that, and the other thing because I said I wouldn't do that or whatever. You're just going to create disappointment and resentment, because the fact of the matter is we are all humans and ain't none of us perfect. So, kids are going to have meltdowns. Moms are going to have meltdowns. Dads are going to have meltdowns. The dog will probably have a meltdown. There are going to be days that are so sucktastic and leave you so emotionally exhausted and drained that you sit there and go, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. This is too much. I'm responsible for these small humans. And this is like, and then, hopefully you have some good folks around you, you have some good things going on so that you pull yourself back up out of that. Because, I mean, moms, we have all been in that place, that I don't think that there is a truthful mother anywhere who has never had a moment of questioning whether or not she can handle this. Because let's face it, full stop, just real quick, being a mother is only the hardest job in the world. As far as being home with them and everything, or even if you're not home, and you're going out to work and everything, you still have your house, so you got two full-time jobs and one of them don't pay. So I hear you, it is a difficult job. It's hard to be a stay-at-home mom. It's hard to be a working mom. It's hard to be a mom. It's hard to just be a working woman, it's hard. There are going to be hard things. Like, I mean, like life is going to throw some hard shit at you. It's just how it is. So in all of those aspects, but especially with mama's perfectionism, it's just crap. So it's going to lead to all this resentment, all this disappointment, and you're just going to be like, oh my gosh, I suck so bad. No, you don't. You just expected too much out of yourself. Let's be realistic here. We want to do little steps of progress. And I see you moms doing that. I see you going, you know what? This isn't the best, but it's a step up from where I was. I'm not making my own mac and cheese at home from scratch, but I moved up to the organic one and I use, organic milk or what, whatever it is that you want to do. Or maybe I got the gluten-free one or I got the dairy-free one because my kids can't have that. Whatever the case is that you're doing in your house, that little step up is better than it was before. And especially because that's what's in your mind. That's what you have the intention that it's going to be better. So it will be. So little consistent steps. That's what you're looking for, right? And of course, give yourself grace because you, mama, are human. And so are your kids. So we are in this, mechanical world. Here we are. And there are all these factors and there are all these things going on. And like I said, we're going to have meltdowns. We're going to have days where we go, no, I don't like chicken, even though the day before they ate all the chicken and then you made more chicken. And oh my gosh, are you kidding me, mom? I don't like chicken. I don't want this. I'm not going to eat that. Or like, oh, we love grapes. We ate all the grapes. So you buy a bunch of grapes and then grapes go bad because, oh no, we don't like grapes, which actually, I'm going to just put in a little nutrition pearl there. A lot of the time, that is simply because children will crave and want to eat something that has a nutrient in it that their body actually needs. So maybe they needed the nutrients in the grapes or the bananas or the chicken, and then their body doesn't need that quite as much the next day. So they're simply craving something else to eat. And sometimes they just want to eat chips instead. So that's a thing too. Of course, they want chips, they want candy, or maybe they had too much of it earlier. But children are a little bit more in tune with what their bodies want than we are because they don't have quite as many distractions going on. Although maybe that could have changed now. But honestly, I think there's always been arguably there's always been distractions because like when I was little, I'd be like, it's too much TV, which really didn't watch that much TV. And now we've got like these devices in our faces all the time. So I think there's always something, probably when they were, oh, I can't believe that they give crayons and something to color on at a restaurant. Why can't the kid just sit there quietly with their hands folded? And it's like, well, and now we've got like devices and people are scoffing at that too and saying, why don't we use the crayons? So there's always going to be a little bit of something there. But a lot of the time, as in terms of food, it's because you're just simply you don't need the nutrients in that as much anymore. So they're just like, I'm not craving that. I'm not going like, oh, I really want a banana right now, even though they see them on the counter because they got so much of all those nutrients last time you bought them that now they don't need that anymore. So their bodies are telling them to grab something else to eat instead. So that's a cute little pearl there. But for real though, give yourself grace. If your kids decided that they didn't want to eat all of their food, that's okay. Let them eat little bits of something. If they will eat their meat, sure, that's going to be better than, only eating the bread, but always remember it is just one meal. Of course, there are some more severe cases where, parents have some issues with children not wanting to eat their food. But you know what? I can tell you, I have family members that are grown-ups now that growing up, would go to the restaurant and order, mashed potatoes, a baked potato, and French fries because they didn't want to eat anything else on the menu. And, went into adulthood a little bit and stuff like that. But now they eat lots of food. Maybe not as much as some others, but they eat lots of food. So in general, most kids are probably going to pop on out of those phases anyway. So when you find something that they like, just keep on nourishing them with the things that they do like. Like for example, I have my one daughter doesn't like zucchini or asparagus, so I don't make her eat them. She's old enough now to know that she doesn't like those things. So why do I need to force her to eat something that she really doesn't like? I have a couple of kids who don't really like seafood. So if I'm making salmon or shrimp or scallops or something, I will make sure that I make like some chicken or some steak on the side as well and kind of have a surf and turf on the table so they have something else to eat. Or they could just have side dishes, depending on what we're having. But, give yourself grace. Okay. Every mom's going to be different. Some moms are going to say, no, well, I think it's really important that they have like one or two bites of their meat. Hey, I support that, because if you know that your child is choosing all the time not to eat the meat, then having them take that one or two bites is going to give their body some of the nourishment that they don't really want right now, but you know that they need. So you can say, okay, well, you can make it a game out of it. Like you can have three more grapes if you have two bites of chicken, whatever you want to do, whatever it is that's going to make your rhythm do its flow and make beautiful music. That's the one. And everybody's tune is going to be different. So you don't have to worry if your tune is different than mine, or your tune is different than hers or his or whoever is out there that you are seeing and going, oh, wow, look how great that is. It's okay that somebody else is doing something different than you, because I'm telling you something, your family appreciates the hell out of you. Oh my God, they appreciate you so much. Even if they don't say it, even if they, because you're there and you're nourishing your family with more than just food, with words, with love, with hugs, with touch, with uh, providing clean laundry, with cleaning up the house, with showing them how to do things around the house, showing them how to clean their home, showing them how to clean their bodies, showing them how to be just look, they're small humans. And you are a big human, and you're showing these small humans how to be big humans. And it can be a daunting task, but you're a grown up, you're a human. You can certainly show a small human how to be human, because that's what you are and that's what you're doing. So just because your human is different than somebody else's doesn't make it wrong. So don't worry about those other things, because I see you and you're doing a really good job because you give a shit. You care about your family. You are making it your task during this stage of your life to instill this amazing nourishment on all these levels into your family. And that's just such a beautiful thing. So, whatever it is that you're doing, mamas, whether you celebrate Mother's Day or not, because I know lots of people choose not to celebrate it, that's okay. I'm still sending you an awesome shout out because you are freaking amazing. Okay. You're doing everything that you need to do for your family. And whether or not they voice it, it's appreciated, because somewhere because it's building them. It's helping to build them. And you're doing the best you can. And that's going to be different for everybody. You're making people grow into bigger people. And it's just so beautiful. So I just want to shout that out to all the mamas out there. And if my mom is listening, I love you, mom. I wish I could see you. This has been so weird the last two Mother's Day. Mother's Day is not being together because we live on opposite sides of the country, but I love you, mom. I appreciate everything you've done. And I know everybody out there, your kids appreciate you too on some level. I mean, is every mom amazing? No. Well, lots of people have some negative stories with their moms, but it still helps to shape. It still helps to shape the person. Maybe those are the ones that are getting rid of some of those generational curses and patterns. But whatever it is you're doing, I see you. You're doing a good job. So, to all the mothers, happy Mother's Day, happy weekend, happy May. Go celebrate yourself. Go celebrate yourself. I'm giving you permission. Jess is giving you permission. Go celebrate yourself. Whether you celebrate Mother's Day or not, you can celebrate yourself because you're freaking awesome, mama. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I want to invite you to grab a copy of my Emotional Balance Toolkit. It's just $7. You can go to go.deeprootedwellnessid.com/balance and grab that. I carried, look, I've got it right here. I carry around a copy of this with me all the time. Like it's starting to get all like frayed because it was in my bag. But it's a wonderful gift for yourself so that you can learn to calm your shit down and you don't need a fluffy pillow or be out in the wilderness. It's something you can implement right on the spot. Maybe you know a mama that could use it. So maybe you want to grab one for her. So go ahead and do that. Happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there. You are so appreciated. You are so loved. And I just hope that you have the absolute best weekend. All right. Thanks for tuning in. One full year here. Thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you listeners. Thanks so much. And bye for now.